welcome back to Champion the Passion, a weekly pro wrestling podcast where we inspire you to champion your passions and celebrate the joy in what you love. I'm your host. My name is Victoria Daisy, and today we're going to be recapping everything that happened last night on AEW Dynamite. But before we get started, don't forget to leave a 5-star review if you enjoyed. Follow me at It's Victoria Daisy across all social platforms and follow Champion the Passion across all streaming platforms. But let's dive right into the opening segment with our brand new AEW World Champion, Hangman Adam Page. Now, this was an absolutely amazing, heartfelt promo and the perfect promo to deliver right after winning the championship. So he started off by thanking the fans, and then of course the fans started chanting, "You deserve it," because that's kind of our default. That's like what we love to do. But Hangman actually said, "No, you guys, as in the fans, deserve it." And the fans are the most unserious things ever, because the fans started chanting, "We deserve it." And it was like really funny and just a cool moment. And it was just epic. Like, I literally was just cackling. It was so funny. And then he said that we are the reason for change. We are the reason that all of this has come to be. And it's through us making our voices heard. And then he said that we as fans deserve a champion who is proud to hold the title and somebody who holds it with gratitude. And then he let the fans know that the wrestlers do all of this for the fans. And then he said that he needed to thank a couple people who have helped him throughout this journey of trying to win this championship. So he thanked Orange Cassidy, Jay White, Adam Copeland, The Ops, Bryan Danielson, Darby Allin, Will Ospreay, and then he thanked Swerve Strickland, which was a gag and a freaking half. I could not believe my ears and what I was hearing. And, he said that he's not sure if he helped Hangman for himself, for AEW, or for Hangman, but regardless of whatever Swerve's intentions are, he vows to stick to being the man he says he is. And he then closed out the segment by saying, quote, "If you ever wonder what kind of man I am, then look at me, because I'm the champ of the world." And my, oh my, what a great line to end with. I mean, I loved top to bottom this promo. Again, I love how he was thanking the fans. I love how he's really leaning into this babyface era. He came out with his OG babyface music, which literally popped me so much. And it was just so special, and I loved it so much. And it was just, again, a great promo, something much needed after this long drought of having Moxley as champion. Having Moxley as champion didn't even feel like we have a champion, because we didn't see the physical championship. So now that we have a new champ who is excited and proud and full of gratitude and full of drive and motivation to really pick up AEW and just like go full force with it, it's nice as a fan to see that, because with Moxley, it didn't seem like he cared too much, and it was like the Death Riders were doing all the work for him, and he just like really didn't give two craps. So now I'm excited that we have a new champ, someone who's proud. It's going to be great. But let's head into the first match of the night. We had Kyle Fletcher versus Mascara Dorada. I hope I said that right. I probably butchered that. You guys know I suck with pronouncing names, so I'm very sorry. But this was an amazing match. I really, really loved the two of them and the way that they collided in the ring and worked together. I mean, it was absolute high fly madness is the way I would like to describe that match. I mean, there were so many amazing move sequences and moments that really made this match all that it was. But in the end, Kyle Fletcher did take the W, which is so exciting. If you guys saw my all-in reaction video, you would see that I was not very excited that Dustin Rhodes won the TNT Championship. I had said it from the beginning, and I'll continue to say it. I believe that Kyle Fletcher should have won that championship, regardless in the OG matchup or the 4-way. And I definitely do believe that he better win that championship at some point. Maybe he's the one to take it off of Dustin, but I believe that Kyle is an absolute superstar and deserves to be treated as such. But next, let's head into the All-Star 8-man tag. We had Josh Alexander and the Young Bucks versus Jet Speed, Bandito, and Brody King. Now, this was a great match as well. I mean, if you thought the last match was good, this was just even better, okay? I mean, there was bodies flying actually everywhere and it was literally just insane. I mean, when you put people like the Young Bucks, Jet Speed, Brody King, when you put all of them in one ring, I mean, it's going to be chaos. And I really enjoyed Jet Speed and Bandito specifically in this match. I thought that they were really doing the most out here and doing just wild things and I really loved it. And I felt like it brought the match to the next level. But in the end, Josh Alexander and the Young Bucks took the W because Bandito passed out. So that was awesome. Um, and then we go into an Adam Copeland segment. So he came out to address everything kind of going on right now with Christian Cage and everything that has happened leading up to All In. And he explained that Christian, has absorbed this arrogance and this enlarged ego. And because of that, it led to everything that occurred at All In and why he told Christian to, quote, go find yourself at All In. And, on the flip side, he also addressed that now he has to go after FTR because they took 4 months off of his career. And, at this point, 4 months feels like 5 years because he's coming towards the end. I don't know when he plans to retire or step away from the ring, but it's definitely sooner rather than later. And, now his goal is to end FTR. And I loved how in this segment, Stokely Hathaway and some AEW officials came out and he came out to talk about, how FTR is not scared of Adam Copeland and how, if he gets near FTR, Stokely is going to make sure that Adam is fired, which I was like, oh. And then Adam responded and said, quote, well, you never said I couldn't get near you. And then aggressively speared Stokely Hathaway, which was absolutely epic. And so I loved that for Copeland because, it made a statement for him. It really showed like, let me take a step back. I love what they're doing here because these are two different little miniature storylines that are about to come in as one, Obviously, he told Christian, go find yourself after Nick Wayne, Shayna Wayne, and Kip Sabian all turned at him at All In, and now he's all by himself and he needs to go find himself and he's probably going to take some time off in the meanwhile. And now it's going to be Cope versus FTR and figuring out all of that. And then there's going to come a point where he realizes, crap, it's just me and there's two of them. I need Christian. And so that's when Christian's going to come back. I don't exactly know when this is all going to happen. I don't know the timeline of everything, but that's kind of where my brain is at a little bit with this all. And I think that would be so exciting. I mean, I love Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. I love them very much. And to see them run it back like that for all the nostalgia feels, it's going to be amazing. And I simply cannot wait. But let's head into the next match. This was a women's fatal 4-way match. And this was Tekla versus Queen Aminata versus Chris Statlander versus Willow Nightingale. This was also a great match. I feel like recently we've seen these 4 women in a lot of the matches recently. And to be honest, I loved it. I felt like last night for Dynamite, the show was mainly storyline driven. I feel like the matches consisted of a lot of the same people that we have been seeing in matches or even at All In. It didn't feel like anything like new. Like they still found ways to progress storylines, but I don't know. I wasn't like fully obsessed with it, but I also can't complain because I also love these 4 women. So I don't know, a bit of mixed emotions. I feel like AEW is really, really good at the build to a pay-per-view. And then the pay-per-view itself is like the most explosive thing ever. And it's amazing. But then it's the follow-up right after that I'm always like, I don't know if I fully love this. But then they kind of get back on the groove and it's fine. So maybe that's kind of what I was feeling last night. But I mean, I thought that all the women worked so well together and, they worked the entire match well. They worked the crowd well, the storytelling, maneuvering their move sets. It was all amazing. And, I just love the AEW women's division. And I think that, it's just another testament to really how good they are. And, at the end of the match, Sky Blue and Julia Hart came out to spit black mist in Queen Aminata's face, which then led to Tekla taking the W. And now it seems by the end of the match, we kind of learned that possibly Julia Hart, Sky Blue, and Tekla now maybe joining forces. I'm not too sure, but that's kind of what we were getting at with the ending. Especially they raised her hand and they had their own little moment. And so I think that's where we're going to move forward. I really like Tekla. She obviously debuted, I believe it was a month or two ago. And getting to learn about her and see her in the ring, I really enjoy her. And I think putting her with Julia and Sky is a great move. I think their vibes work well together and their styles in the ring work well together. And I'm excited to see where this goes moving forward. But let's talk about a really interesting match. So we had Kazuchika Okada versus some jobber. They didn't even say what his name is, and if they did, I missed it. But I mean, the match was literally 90 seconds. Okay, it wasn't anything crazy, so there's not much to judge about the match. But at least from what we got, Okada was basically just dominating, and then he won. But after is where it gets a little more juicy. So he got on the mic and called out Swerve for screwing the Young Bucks, and so of course say his name and he appears, Nacho Hendry, Swerve Strickland. So Swerve Strickland comes out, and Swerve responded and said, "Quote, yes, I did do that. What are you going to do about it?" And then that must have intimidated Okada because then he literally booked it and left. So I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to see kind of where we still go with this storyline. I mean, I feel like storylines start a place and then they're like a tree. There's branches and then we kind of just keep going those routes, you know? And so I'm just curious to see where we go from here. But let's talk about the main event. We had a 6-man tag match. So we had the Death Riders versus Powerhouse Hobbs, Mark Briscoe, and Hangman Adam Page. Now this was a wild match. It really felt like All In Part 2 and it was just epic and electric in all ways. I mean, the move sequences and spots were amazing and they really, really told a good story in that ring. But of course, in the end, Hangman Adam Page, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Mark Briscoe did take the W. And after the match, the Death Riders attacked Hangman to try and seek revenge. But then Darby Allin was seen from the top. He didn't come down to the ring or anything, but he was seen kind of on like a little balcony of they weren't in an arena per se. It was more like a little theater vibe. It was giving very Tony Storm coded energy. And so he was kind of on some like balcony at the top and he was just looking down. The spotlight was pointed towards him. It was very cinematic. And so he did that to distract Moxley so that Hangman could hit the bugshot lariat on Mox and then that would eventually lead to him leaving. And so, you know, here's my thing with what I said earlier about, you know, I just feel like some of these matches last night were a little bit like recycled in the sense of like, yes, they progressed storylines, but maybe the matchups could have been a little different. I don't know. Cause it's like, I thought that we buried the hatchet. We closed the chapter between Hangman and Mox at All In. You know, he had his victory moment. That was it. That should have been the end. So I don't know why we're continuing to harp on this. Now adding Darby in the mix, now adding, you know, all these different people. And it just doesn't make sense. Like, why can't they just separate, you know? But very interesting. Let's head into my overall thoughts. I thought it was a really solid show. My match of the night was definitely the main event. I obviously just stated why. I loved all the move sequences and, you know, how storyline driven the show was and that match specifically. And then my segment of the night definitely was the Adam Copeland segment. I loved how he explained why he did what he did. And then, you know, Stokely's little moment coming out and letting this be the new era and new beginning for Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Even though he wasn't there, it's still the beginning of that storyline. And I'm very excited about that. Overall, my rating for the show is about a 7.5, 8 out of 10. So slight dip from last week, but still keeping it high because they always do a great job. Also, I just wanted to remind you guys, I have been saying it all week, but tomorrow I am dropping a brand new episode of Champion the Passion, The Untold Stories, which is my interview series. And I just announced today who is going to be on. It is Brianna Duarte, aka the LA Night Girl. She will be on the podcast tomorrow. We're going to have a very fun conversation talking about her journey through pro wrestling. And it's going to be such a fun time. So that will be dropping tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern here on YouTube, here on Spotify, here on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get Champion the Passion, it will be. And it is going to be so much fun. But thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this episode of Champion the Passion. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review if you enjoyed. Follow me at It's Victoria Daisy across all social platforms and follow Champion the Passion across all streaming platforms. Don't forget to champion your passions and celebrate the joy in what you love. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.